So today we're talking about how to think like an entrepreneur. And as you already know, that everything starts with the mind. Yes, greetings everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Vickers, business and finance mentor. I produce epic content for millennials and young entrepreneurs. I teach you guys how to structure your business properly to make money, to gain financial freedom and live a lasting legacy. That's all what it's about, guys. It's all about making money the right way, doing the right things with your money and live the good life, you know? So today we're talking about how to think like an entrepreneur. And as you already know, that everything starts with the mind. You know, Napoleon Hill in the book Think and Grow Rich, he said, what the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. Even the Bible says it, belief kills and belief cure. So if you get the mind right, then you can get everything else right. You know, like it says, the kingdom of heaven is within. So today we're talking about how to think like an entrepreneur. And as you know, to be an entrepreneur, in essence, entrepreneurs are actually different people when it comes to the way they think and process things, you know, in their mind. Now, all entrepreneurs kind of think the same way, but we are going to separate between how all entrepreneurs think, and then we're also going to talk about how successful entrepreneurs think, right? And we're talking about people like the Steve Jobs and the Bill Gates and the Elon Musk and the Mark Zuckerberg of the world, you know, like how these people think and process things in their mind. All entrepreneurs do this. All entrepreneurs take responsibility of their own financial future. That means they develop their own financial discipline. They put systems in place and take full responsibility of the amount of money they are going to make. Now others, they will take responsibility to a certain degree, but the money they make is what other people think about and create, right? So those are the people who work a job. They pretty much get paid what we call linear income, right? You get paid based on the amount of time you transfer in return for money. Entrepreneurs understand that, hey, we have to take responsibility for our own finance. That means there is no cap on the amount of money that you can receive. I remember when I was working a job, way back in the days when I was younger, and I was driving a certain car, and managers always wanted to ask me, how in the world were you able to drive this car? Because you know why they ask that question? It's because they know exactly the amount of money they pay you, so they know the exact lifestyle that you can live, the house you can live in, the car you can that you can afford to drive, and so on. But what I was doing though, I wasn't just working as an employee, I also had side hustle. I also had things on the side that was making money for me. So even if you have a job today, you can also have your side hustles, you know, things that can make money on the side for you. So you have to think like an entrepreneur. Even if you're an employee, you can still think like an entrepreneur. Another thing that entrepreneurs do, and the way entrepreneurs think about life, is that all entrepreneurs understand the importance of creating value. You don't get paid until you create value, until you add value to someone, because people pay you in exchange for something that you give to them. That's the essence of an economy. Money is nothing but energy, right? And money is created when two individuals find it necessary to create something of human values in life, you know, and in business. Whatever you do, make sure that you're transferring something of equal value. If you take from others without exchanging something of equal value, that's stealing. You know, that's the wages of sin. And you know what the wages of sin is? According to the Apostle Paul, the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life. So that's how all entrepreneurs think. Another thing is, all entrepreneurs understand the importance of solving problems. You know, you are going to get paid when you can solve a problem, because one thing that humans don't like, and guess what? We don't like problems. None of us like to have problems. And especially if you can show people how to solve problems, because problems are here even before we were born, right? So if you can find ways to teach individuals and businesses and governments and whoever how to solve problems, then you can make money. Remember, you don't have to have $1 million idea to be a millionaire. It could be a $1 idea that 1 million people like, but you just need to solve problems. Other things that you must take into consideration, that if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you have to be able to break away from the pack, because as you know, that study shows that 80% of small businesses fail in the first 5 years, and an even larger number, 90% of small businesses fail in the first 10 years. 2020 is our year, and as entrepreneur, we need a 2020 vision, you know? Open up your third eyes for your mind and live. Successful entrepreneurs, they take it to another level. You have to master the art of creating new capabilities. So you ever heard the saying, don't reinvent the wheel? Someone already did it. You have to respect the person who have done what they've done so far, and then you take that thing and then you go create it so it can create new capability. Like Steve Jobs is a perfect example when it comes to creating new capabilities. Today, most of us have what is called an iPhone or an iPod or an Apple computer. Where did this idea come from? There were always telephone, right? We had Nokia, we have Razr phone, we have a Motorola, we have Panasonic, we have different kinds of telephone in the past, you know? We had that big phone with the thing on it that you pull up and all that stuff. What Steve Jobs did, he looked at something that was already solving a problem, you know, and then he amplifies it. Typically, a telephone is normally used for communication. But what Steve Jobs did, he said, I'm gonna take this little device here and I'm gonna create it into a universal communication system. So he made communication more effective. So that's a person who created new capabilities. So when you're thinking about entrepreneurship, you're not just thinking about solving problem. You want to think about, I'm solving this problem, but how do I create new capabilities with it, you know? How do you make it amplified so that others can use it to do different things and multiple things? Like a Corolla is a car. A BMW is another car. You know, both of them are cars, but people will pay something different for it because it has different capabilities. You know, successful entrepreneurs are willing to take risk. When we say willing to take risk, we mean that we don't accept failure as a reality. Whatever you go through in life, just understand it's a part of life journey and it's a learning curve. Failure is sometimes good, and even fear is sometimes good. This could be positive motivation because, you know, there are two types of motivation. You could either be motivated towards or motivated away from, you know. So if some of the things that you call failure, now you've learned this lesson, and then you're gonna do it different the next time, even though you don't have to learn from your own failure, right? Or you don't have to learn from things that made you fear in the past, because the wise man say that a wise man learned from his experience, but an even wiser man learn from the experiences of others. And this is very key, guys, that you have to remember this. As an entrepreneur, you can be a creator, you can be an innovator. Like Steve Jobs is a perfect example. Steve Jobs is not the greatest tech guy in the world, but guess what he is? He is the greatest communicator. He's the greatest person when it comes to explaining his product and how it works. And I recommend that you go and watch this Steve Jobs video on YouTube. You can go type in Steve Jobs ask, or don't be afraid to ask. It's like a 1-minute video that he talk about don't be afraid to ask, because you definitely want to master the art of communicating your message. We call it sales. And never accept no for an answer. Sometimes you have to hear 99 no to hear that perfect yes that you're waiting for. So entrepreneurs, when they hear no, they're saying that this is not necessarily no. This is just building up to the yes that you're waiting for. My granduncle, for example, my first ever mentor, you know, when I was growing up, I used to always ask him for things. And he used to always say no first, because he wanted to see how much I really, really want this thing and what is it that I want to do with this thing when he give it to me. Most of the time it was money. And even when I was going to invest in my first sugarcane business, I was very young. And he wanted to make sure that I know what I was going to do. And he gave me a loan of $70,000 that took me 5 years to pay it back. So he didn't want to give me that money knowing that I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. So initially he said no. So I have to come back to the table, put together a business plan. I have to show him all of the strategies that I'm going to use, all the things that I know, you know, the business structure, so to speak. A lot of people call it business plan. In those days, I didn't know how to write a business plan. So I was just putting some things together, creating my own strategic plan, 5-year, 10-year, and so plan, just to show him that, hey, I know exactly what I'm doing. And if I had to accept no for an answer, he would just move on. And he would realize that, hey, you don't know what you want. So I'm saying this to you guys, that this is one thing that you need to think about as an entrepreneur. If you want to be a successful entrepreneur, never, never, never accept no for an answer. Because always remember this, no is never the final answer. All right, guys, I hope you like this video, man. Thank you very much for for your time, for even watching it, and I hope this video was very useful and helpful to you as an entrepreneur. Please feel free to send us topics that you'd like us to discuss that will help you in a positive way. As you know, I'm a social entrepreneur and I only produce content that will create positive impact in the lives of others. Definitely ask you to share it, leave your comment, subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell. To also create a free resource that you'll find in the description box. There's the 5 things you need to know before starting a business. So you can go ahead and download it. It's a worksheet for you. Very helpful tool that you can use as an entrepreneur. And again, guys, thank you very much for coming in.